Hello, my darling pop culture junkies. It is the first pod of 2026. We are back after a long and beautiful break. It's Pop Culture Mondays on Thursdays, and it's me, Brooke.
On Thursdays.
Hello, my darlings. I can't believe we made it because I honestly, and I know I'm not alone, but there were days where I was like, what day is it? It did not stop raining in LA, except for a very brief window, which I was very fortunate to be in Palm Springs for. But 12 of the 15 days basically with pouring rain, which means that I just like endlessly days just came into nights, came into days. And on top of it, I have a dog and a puppy that I am trying to housebreak. So I had to walk out. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to put my wellies on. I'm in my bathrobe. I have the dog in a raincoat and, setting the alarm for 3 in the morning and being outside. It was, oh my God. I did not, my Aura Ring has told me for 2 weeks that I've just napped, that I haven't actually been sleeping. So I am a little worse for wear, but here I am. But we're back. It's nice to be back. It was a slow news week, right? I mean, nothing at all happened while we were off, having a nice, enjoyable holiday. The good news is, at least in LA, I know people are upset about the rain, but I will take rain as much as it causes destruction as well, with mudslides and falling trees and power lines, and thankfully nothing like that has happened in anywhere that I have seen, but it can happen. I understand that rain is not dangerous, but it's not fires. And this time last year, I was living in a hotel. I had COVID. I thought my house was going to burn down, and I was feeling pretty terrified, as was lots of Los Angeles. And tragically, much of Los Angeles burned, and many people lost homes and their livelihood. So I'm glad to not have a repeat of that. We're certainly not going to have any fires anytime soon. Everything is waterlogged. We are soaking. But we're going to get into the big news. I will say that if any of you guys are listeners to the Pivot podcast, you will have heard me this week if you listened to this week's Tuesday's edition. I was very honored to be a guest host along with the incredible Stephanie Rule, who's one of the inspos for Pop Culture Mondays, as is Kara Swisher. And Kara, obviously, we had a good banter. And Don Lemon, who I had not really ever interacted with. And I loved him. I did. He was great. We had a lot of fun. So if you listen to that, there is some crossover. They talked a lot about politics and business. I talked about culture, but the themes are the same, which was so interesting because we didn't know that the themes were going to be the same as Pop Culture Mondays. But in this particular moment, politics, business, culture are completely intersected. So let's just start. I mean, I am glad to put some of the things to bed. I am so glad we don't have to talk about matcha lattes or Dubai chocolate or Labubus or 6-7 or any of that stuff, I hope, ever again. And there were some things that did carry over from 2025 to 2026, which we'll touch on. In particular, the one that is great is Heated Rivalry, which we're going to talk more about. And the one that is not so great, but still quite comical, is the Erika Kirk morning tour. And I don't mean morning like good morning. I mean, well, maybe it is her good morning. It is mourning her husband, the rock and roll tour. So just a little bit to touch on that carried over from last year. But breaking news, we had I don't know, are we calling it a coup? Are we calling it a hostile takeover? Are we calling it an illegal act over a sovereign nation? Whatever your politics, doesn't matter. It is a fact that Maduro, who up until, well, in his mind, he's still the head of Venezuela, but up until he was plucked out of bed with his wife by special forces and DEA and like a gazillion US military ops, was a dictator and a tyrant and a very, very bad man, a very bad man. Also not like the smartest man, but that, like, who are we to talk, really? I mean, when I say dictator, tyrant, breaks the Constitution, not very smart, terrible to his people, treats his people terribly. Who am I talking about? I mean, in this case, I am talking about Maduro, but I mean, we could be talking about our own guy. But nevertheless, whatever your politics are, you have to admit this man was not a good man. And that goes without saying. However, you also have to acknowledge the way this was done was perhaps maybe not legal. And it's interesting because it's the Daily on Monday did a really good episode. I'll put it in the show notes. But the New York Times Daily podcast where they talk about the legality of what went down. And it's a slippery slope, sort of like in the international law, it would likely be considered illegal what was done. But in national law, it would likely be considered legal. Listen to that podcast to get your head wrapped around that one. But you know, we have a president and an administration who has been saying that this was because of drugs and the drug cartels, and he is a bad guy and he is, you know, dealing cocaine. But then once the deed was done, I think they said that Trump said, like in his press conference, 12 times he mentioned oil. This is about oil. This is 100% about oil. This is about a president of our country who just keeps getting away with shit and nobody's stopping him. So he's like, I guess I'll take over Venezuela. And Marco Rubio is going to lead Venezuela on top of being the national security advisor and the secretary of state. I mean, the memes are great. The memes are great. You know, I'm not going to talk about politics. You can get that so many other places. But yes, does it mean that now China is going to be like, Taiwan? And does it mean that Putin is like, okay, Zelensky, peace out? I think all of those things are correct. It sets a precedent. But that's neither here nor there. We have Maduro, a very, very bad man. And we've seen this with, and it's like, forget Gen Z, this is Gen Alpha now, but we've seen what happens, whether, regardless of what you think about politically or whether you think the person is bad or not. Diddy, Luigi, incidentally, all in the same jail. We're in the same prison, the same structure prison in Brooklyn, in New York. They are turned into memes. They are turned into viral folk heroes, if you will. And Maduro, no different. And within hours of his capture, the man became a fashion influencer. And I'm not like, this is not something that just lives on socials. It actually impacted business, and that business is Nike. So we've all seen the picture. He is in a sweatsuit. The only photo for a time that was released was when he was held, like he was being held captive on the plane out of Venezuela, heading to America. He's in a gray sweatsuit. The kids are making fun of him, like being in an eye mask, like he's totally relaxing in his flight. It's like goggles, I guess, to cover his eyes. But he is wearing a Nike Tech sweatsuit. And when I say this sweatsuit went viral, look at the data. Here's the Google search data that shows the sort of spike in Google searches for that exact sweatsuit. And it is sold out. It's sold out. Like, we are a ridiculous society. I mean, we really are. We're like, oh man, look at that. Like, that Hitler guy is so cool. Like, I mean, bad guy, but like loving his style, loving his vibe. It's hilarious. And it's not just, and I say hilarious in a tragic way, not in a, oh, good for Nike way. I mean, people were showcasing their own experience. They have it. Like Baratunde, so obviously a very well-known commentator and person on the internet. He posted this, where he's like, just not for nothing, but I own this sweatsuit. Here I am. I already had it. He didn't go and buy it, but a lot of people did. He has become a fashion icon. And I say this not in jest. I mean, it's true. And then he went through several costume changes along the way. Like, the dude is like Erika Kirk in that way. Like, he popped up in another place, another iconic sweatsuit. People were like, is that Under Armour? Where is that hoodie from? And of course, he helped himself with that sort of lore. in that he walks out and he's like thumbs up, peace sign, happy new year, like just acting like a boss. A dictator, tyrant, horrible, killed people, oppressed his country, has upwards of the most amount of oil in the world, and yet as a massive humanitarian crisis. And yet here we are, like meme after meme after meme. And if you're watching on YouTube, I am showing you a carousel of some of the better ones. There are a lot. There's also a thing that's happening on Twitter that is not happening in the real world. It's not causing influence, and it's probably a lot of bots, to be perfectly honest, but a lot of AI videos. I'm not going to show the ones with him and Trump. There are a lot of AI videos, though, that have been created where he and Trump are doing things like they're DJing together, or because you had Maduro apparently mock Trump right prior to his being seized. He was mocking Trump in the dance. And apparently the rumors are that that's what really set Trump off, which wouldn't surprise me. Even if it's not true, it sort of might be true. So a lot of creators, maybe bots, have created these videos of sort of Maduro dancing and Trump dancing, and they're doing DJ set, and all of them are Maduro in the sweatsuit. So it has become a thing. Now, those videos have not crossed over into mainstream like the fashion stuff has, but it's still, if you're on the sort of dark side of social media, which is Twitter, and for better or for worse, you're seeing a lot of that. So that's quite interesting. Another thing that's gone viral is this clip from the Jack Ryan show that is, I don't even know where Jack Ryan is. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan. Is it on Amazon? I feel like it's on Prime. But check out this clip, because remember we had one of these from like the newsroom back in the day, where it's sort of like what the problem is with America, and it was very much like in the West Wing. We see these shows sort of have a crystal ball into where we then end up. And here we are, Jack Ryan, very, very prescient. Check this clip out. It's going everywhere if you haven't seen it.
Everybody's cool with Venezuela? No threat? Okay. Let me ask you this. Which one of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposit on the planet? More than Saudi? More than Iran? Wow. Okay, what about things like gold? More than all the mines in Africa combined? The fact is that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. So, why is this country in the midst of one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history? Let's meet President Nicolás Reyes. After rising to power on a wave of nationalist pride, in a mere 6 years, this guy has crippled the national economy by half. He has raised the poverty rate by almost 400%. Luckily for the rest of us, he's up for re-election. So, who's running against him? This is Gloria Bonalde. Now, Gloria is a history professor turned activist. She's running against him on a social justice platform and on the strength of, in my humble opinion, just not being an asshole. Analyst predictions, as of today, have the chances of Venezuela's total economic collapse at 87%. On the news, they'll call it a crisis. But on the world stage, they'll call it a failed state. If you've never heard that term, other examples of a failed state in recent history are Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. And if that's not bad enough news for you, well, Venezuela is also the only one of these places within 30-minute range from the US of next-gen nuclear missiles. You will not hear about any of this on the news because the biggest players on the world stage do not want you to. To them, unstable governments are nothing more than the greatest of opportunities. So, Russia, China, can never be the most major threat until countries like Venezuela leave the door open to our very own backyard.
So there we have it, like culture, politics, the world. I mean, we are learning a lot about sort of the world in in its truest form, but then also in its ugliest form. And while we use humor, and I will say, I use humor to deal with stress. I definitely do. Whether it's in poor taste or not, I just do. I think that's a very human thing. We've now, as a society, sort of lost our minds. Just like the kids going crazy over Luigi and turning him into like a folk hero, and he's so hot, and Luigi fan club, and like this man literally shot another human being point blank in New York City in broad daylight. Not a hero. So our brains are getting fried. I do think we should just all unplug for a minute and be like, what are we like? Why are we doing this? It's not acceptable. But here we are, Maduro as a meme and as a viral moment. And we are learning more about politics from our TV shows again. This isn't new, but we're here. And we're certainly not going to get them from some of these mainstream media folk, where we just had the newest anchor of CBS News tell us that he is here to bring the news that we want, not necessarily what the world is, if that makes sense. Like, he's literally, this is what CBS is doing now, saying like, we hear you, we're going to deliver to you what you want. That is not the job of the news. That, my friends, are not the job of the news. The job of the news, and why, if you listen to Pivot this week, Don Lemon makes this great point about independent journalists, which exactly he is. That's where we're seeing, whether it's people like me, these little podcasts and newsletters, where people have the ability to say and shine a light on things without the corporate sort of hammer behind them dictating what can and can't be done. Because then we're just living in Venezuela. I mean, that's what we're doing. We are being told what we can and can't say by a dictator. So we must move on to more fun things. And those fun things, we're still in it. We're still in Heated Rivalry. It is only growing. And it was funny. I was asked, what movies did you see this holiday? Normally, I'm a big movie girl. I love going to the movies. I will say Marty Supreme, I love the marketing. I think it's genius what they did, but it didn't get me into the movie theater. And perhaps it's because of the rain. I don't know. But what I did do, I rewatched Heated Rivalry, as did many, 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 many people. And I know I've talked about it on the podcast before, where I say about the stat of women who watch gay male porn. It's an actual stat. 47% of women on Pornhub are watching gay male porn. Not gay porn, gay male porn. So there is a connection there. However, there is so much more. Heated Rivalry is, yes, it's sexy. Yes, it gets you like hot and bothered, but it is a love story. It is a story of the moment. There is something just so beautiful about these characters. I actually have my notebook because there's so much to say. So I think the three breakout stars, two of them are unknowns. There's Connor Storrie, who we're going to get a little bit more into today than the others. And he plays Ilya. He plays the Russian-speaking kid who is actually from Galveston, Texas, had never spoken a word of Russian until a week before filming, where he started lessons. Like, this kid is a savant. And if you go on to Russian Talk, aka Russians on TikTok, there would be people like this person who they're just blown away by his accent, this is very tricky. People study for years and years, and Russian Talk will be like, you are an idiot. And people were so impressed with him, like this person.
As a native Russian speaker, do you know how flabbergasted I was that this man is Texan? This man is a straight up American boy. He does not have a Russian bone in his body. And yet his accent work and his Russian in the show is so impressive. I genuinely thought that he had to have like Russian parents, or he has to have spoken Russian before. No. Do you know how impressive that is? As someone who grew up consuming a lot of Western media trying to portray Russian accents, or trying to portray Russian characters, or trying to speak Russian, never have I ever come across an actor who is able to speak it in such a way that I, once again, not even for a moment doubted that he was actually Russian.
Like, we are watching a star being born in real time with Connor Storrie. I so hope fame does not destroy him. Then we have Hudson Williams, who plays Shane Hollander. Do not sleep on this one. He's a grower. He's a grower. I think he's doing his first late night. I don't know if it's Jimmy Fallon. He's doing it this week. It's a big deal. They signed for season 2 and season 3. And then Francois Arnault, who some people will know, if you watch Schitt's Creek, he played an ex-boyfriend on the show, David, and we love him. He plays Scott Hunter and has a very pivotal role in the show. Now, Francois's boyfriend, Scott Hunter's boyfriend, I don't talk about him. I don't know why. I'm being unfair. Don was like very surprised that I didn't love him. I call him a short king, and he is. And then when Don offline, he was pressing me. He's like, why don't you think he's like the best? How come you don't love like Scott Hunter's boyfriend? And I said simply, he's too nice. He's just too nice in the show, and he makes smoothies, and I just hate smoothies. And he's too nice. He's too, if you know me by now, you know that I like a red flag, like Ilya. I like a red flag. But there have been so many viral moments that have taken place over the weekend, over the holiday, that allowed this show to grow and grow and grow. And just for context, from a business perspective, it cost per episode, so there were 6 episodes of this first season. I really hope they double that for the second season. But it cost $3 to $5 million per episode, which you might say, oh, that's a lot of money. It's not a lot of money. In comparison, Stranger Things, which had its final season and came out at the same time and expected to be the zeitgeist, the thing everybody was talking about, each episode cost between $50 and $60 million to make. 50 to 60. It's not, I'm not misreading that. That is a fact. And Heated Rivalry, $3 to $5 million an episode. 50 to 60 million. And I haven't watched it. It has certainly never come up in conversation. I've had some people be like, I'm going to maybe watch Stranger Things because I've watched everything else. That is not a great place to end. David Harbour, I don't know if you're just having a really shitty, terrible time, but you do not want to be on that side of things. This is a cultural moment. It has taken over all of socials. It's taken over the conversations, multiple generations. It's not just Canada and the US. It's really a global thing. What I have to say is there are a couple things. One, you're seeing mainstream people talk about it. You're seeing the sports community talk about it. Something interesting that I have not seen, I haven't seen the sort of like, and again, it's not the world I'm in, but normally those things pop up where you start to see people make fun of them. Like the far right is staying silent on this one. Like there is no, I mean, what are they going to do? Clutch their pearls? And then you're going to say Lindsey Graham is going to get all upset. And then Lindsey Graham's boyfriends are going to come out and be like, excuse me, Lindsay, remember that? Yeah, anyway, we're getting into naughty territory. But the thing about it is these are athletes. They're sports. This is not a world where talking about being gay is really prevalent or popular. However, there is a very, very popular podcast called Empty Netters, which is a hockey podcast with hockey bros, the very people you would imagine that would be clutching their pearls over the show. And instead, it's the exact opposite. Just take a look.
How about that fucking entrance, bro? How about that entrance?
He looks like a Matrix villain. He shows up dressed totally in black, sleeves cut off so you could see the muscles. And yeah, it's like, you know, he's supposed to be kind of like stealthily meeting up with Shane here, but he's not. Everyone at that airport is going to be looking at him.
Shane even asks, he's like, did anyone see you or notice you? And he's like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, first of all, you're in a Canadian city and you're one of the 2 best players in the National. And then also you're the hottest fucking dude I've ever seen in my life right now. I assure you everyone noticed you in that airport. Dude, I said the same thing, Dan. You were in Ottawa, bro. And then on top of that, you come in all fucking blacked out, cutoffs, pipes, glasses, looking like the Terminator, looking like the Sperminator, dude. Oh, I could not fucking believe he went full Sperminator. And then waltzed through the airport. People were probably fucking getting off the whole way through baggage claim, dude. And then he walks into the Jeep. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. No one recognized you.
Okay, I'm going to backtrack for a minute. When I said that I do not like nice boys, the green flags, like in this case, I will take a different approach because these men, this is doing it for me. These guys, these are men. They are sports podcasters. I'm sure some of their audience is like, what? But they know what they are doing. They understood the assignment, and the reactions from social media. I mean, they are growing in popularity. They are gaining a fan base they never would have had as a result of their really walking people through the show, really talking about the show, not in a funny, making fun of, mocking way, but in true, like, real hockey players, like looking at them as people, not as sexual beings, not as gay men. It's really an interesting phenomena. And just here's some of the reactions that people have had about this podcast.
If you would have told me that the most important reaction to Heated Rivalry would be from a men's hockey podcast, I wouldn't have believed you. And yet here we are. This is Dan, Chris, and Sean, and they are part of a show called Empty Netters. And like I said, it's not what you would expect from a podcast with a bunch of men talking about hockey. They've been so invested, so emotional, so articulate, so empathetic. It's been so good.
Scott wakes up to Kip getting dressed. He's like, I was going to sneak out. You play later. Insane. Why? You would leave? Dude, if you banged... You're out of your mind. Austin Matthews. You're out of your mind. You got Team USA, captain of Team USA, just asked me upstairs, and I have the night of my life, and I'm going like this, I gotta get out of here. I would have my mail forwarded there by morning.
And today for the finale, they went live. It's so popular that even Hudson Williams was tuned in.
So I love them. Also, The Cottage. The Cottage has legs. We are still talking about The Cottage. And the memes are crazy.
I'm coming to the cottage. 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 I'm coming to the cottage.
They have taken Ilya's I go to cottage line, and DJs have spun it into shows. Here's an example.
I'm coming to the cottage.
People go crazy. People are going crazy for it. Another thing that's being turned into nightclub lore, as well as just something that people are watching over and over again, was this very short, I don't know how long, it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, video that when I first saw it, I didn't just send the link of TikTok because I know a lot of my friends don't have TikTok. I downloaded it. So I have the video on my phone and I sent it to 850,000 people. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm proud of myself because I didn't know it was going to go viral. And it is so mega viral. So what it is, and I'm going to show it to you, but let me just set it up. It's an interview. It's from Interview Magazine where they're interviewing Connor Storrie, the Galveston Star is Born character, actor who plays Ilya. And he looks like Patrick Swayze. We're going to talk about that a little bit. He's very Patrick Swayze Point Break vibes. And we don't know what his sexuality is. We don't care. I don't care. But we as women, we as men, we love this. He is wearing a Gold's Gym t-shirt. In his interview, he's doing like, I guess, video. He is in it seems like a backyard of a small little LA bungalow. I have so many questions, like whose house is it? Is that his house? Is that something they rented for the day for the shoot? It's this like very small little, I don't know, bungalow with a pool. There's a dog, and he's prancing around in the small backyard, lip syncing to Like a Prayer by Madonna, and prancing, and he does a little move. And when I say I've truly watched it, I'm not joking. I've watched it over 100 times. I may have watched it over 200 times. Just you take a look. And please, for the love of God, if you're not watching this podcast, go and find it. It's in the newsletter. You have to see it. Voila, here you go. You're welcome. I know if we didn't get to show the whole clip because of sound, the music, I know, Ethan, you're going to be mad at me and the strike or whatever. So I'm hopeful we were able to show at least a small portion of it. Go to the show notes or the newsletter for the whole clip. It is that good. But what's so funny are the videos that are coming out. So there's a nightclub, the nightclub that is like, there is a 90s night or whatnot, that are showing this on the big screens. They're playing Like a Prayer, but then they're showing not the Like a Prayer video, they're showing this video of Conor Storrie doing his thing. So take a look at this. And then this might be my favorite. The two girls, like any of you guys, we've done this. It's like dinner in a movie. We get Chinese. We're sitting on the floor eating our Chinese with our chopsticks, watching a movie, except what they're watching is this 30-second clip of Conor Storrie lip syncing to Like a Prayer. It's completely taken over the internet. It's taken over our hearts, and we must protect Conor Storrie at all costs. And my big fear, not only will fame, it's fast, right? When fame happens this quickly, it can be quite dangerous to somebody young, but he has been living this world since he was a kid. Like, he's known since he was a little kid that he wanted to be in front of the camera. He has that thing, that like je ne sais quoi. It's, you know, a star has a star. Like Timothée Chalamet has it. You can see, and Timothy very similarly, we've seen his videos from a kid all the way up. Conor's younger, so he's been online his whole life. And there are interviews where he talked about he knew he wanted to be an actor, and he, when he was younger, wanted to be famous, and then realized it's not fame he wanted. He wanted to really practice his art. But here is this king of a man as a child knowing about Katy Perry before the rest of us knew about Katy Perry. I love this clip. This is him as a little kid questioning Katy Perry's lyrics.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind wanting to start again? I really don't.
Just, you know, ease in front of the camera. He was born for the camera. What I hope doesn't happen is that fame destroys him. I also hope that they don't make next season, and I don't think so, because the showrunner is very, very smart. He understands lightning in a bottle. He understands what can destroy a second season, I imagine. So if you go from a budget of $3 to $5 million an episode to $30 to $40 million an episode, that is going to change the dynamic of the show. The show feels a bit scrappy. The show feels a bit rough around the edges. The show feels less like overly produced like some of these others. So I think that's part of its magic, and I hope they keep that. But it's now part of the zeitgeist. I mean, over the weekend was one of these award shows at the Screen Time Awards? I don't remember. Jeff Goldblum was asked, "Are you going to the cottage? Have you seen the show?" And he was like, at first he was baffled. Then he's like, "Oh, wait. I know what you're talking about. Check it out."
Have you heard of Heated Rivalry? Do you know what it is? Have you been to the cottage?
I want to say yes, very badly. I can't in all good conscience. I chopped down the cherry tree. I've never told a lie. No. Heated Rivalry.
It's a love story about two hockey players,
Wait
two men,
minute,
they
stop
fall
right
in
there.
love.
Of course, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah.
I've heard great things.
So, I guess there's also Stephen Colbert. I can't forget to mention that. You had Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper, New Year's Eve, CNN. They get sort of drunky, though it's performative. I don't think that Andy Cohen is as drunk as people think he is. And then they had Stephen Colbert on, and they got into talking about the show, and Colbert talked about himself being a bossy bottom. If you don't believe me, here you go.
Evie is the top in their relationship. I found out this year.
God, what is that?
Yes.
What?
It's true.
But I'm a bossy bottom.
Yes.
God.
Stephen Colbert is a bossy bottom.
Has Heated Rivalry made everybody insane?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, is this a Heated Rivalry effect?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's happening. Okay. So, like I said, Heated Rivalry. What's interesting to me is that this is a novel that kind of gives me the vibe of like the 50 Shades of Grey, which was a book, became a movie, obviously, with Dakota Johnson. But the book, which was fan fiction from Twilight, written by a woman who was basically took the formula of Twilight, the vampires in the Pacific Northwest, and she fanficked it, where instead of the vampire falling in love with Bella, is that right? I can't even remember, but the sort of sweet, young, innocent girl who bit her lower lip, they always bite their lower lip. They always bite their lower lip in every fan fiction or sort of Twilight type book when they're describing the protagonist, and she bit her lower lip. So you have that in Twilight. Then somebody took fanfic, and instead of the girl and the vampire, you had the Dakota Johnson girl biting her lower lip, who's the ingenue college girl, innocent as can be, wants to be a journalist, and the billionaire sadist, right? Vampire, billionaire, sadist, same thing. And so it's junky. It sells a lot of books, but it's junky. I think the book was sort of in that sort of line of thinking, and it's written by a woman, which is very interesting. So the showrunner is not a woman. The showrunner is a man, a gay man, and he understood the assignment. And now the book is, which was not a #1 bestseller, is a #1 bestseller, but I have not read it to understand how close the show can't depart too much from the book, but I think that they probably have a better understanding of the gay world than a woman who wrote the book. But what do I know? I am speaking out of just my pure and utter fascination with culture and no knowledge whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk about Erika Kirk and her morning tour. It continues, but what continues are the memes. I have to say, people are really clever. I mean, some of the funniest ones, like I've mourned longer for the death of the $5 footlong from Subway than Erika Kirk mourned her husband. I mean, not wrong. Here are some of my favorite TikToks that showcase, basically, you're just seeing an example of people being very big on stage, and it's like the Erika Kirk mourning her husband. So just take a look at some of these. And then a few of my favorite tweets. And, everybody takes a sort of their own approach to it. But the fact is, there is something creepy. There is something deeply, deeply disturbing about the fact that this woman's husband has been dead for a few months, and she is wearing a sequins suit on stage with freaking fireworks. And I understand this is a grift. You have a business to run. You have to keep it going. But she seems genuinely delighted. She seems genuinely happy to be in the spotlight. And I can't remember if I talked about this before, but the fact is, like, the more she puts herself out there, the more of a grift you're starting to see. Like, she is believing her own lies, but when everything is documented on camera, and I think I have talked about this, but to say it again, in that she literally said she did not date years leading up to meeting Charlie. That was like, she was just in a place waiting for him, where not only is that absolutely false and proven by previous relationships that were all on Instagram, she was on Summer House, a very, very popular show on Bravo, on a date with a guy drinking. Like, she talked about how she didn't like to go out. Like, it's just, she literally is lying. And maybe because of MAGA and because of the world we're in, like, this is the culture. They just think they can say whatever and it's not going to matter. Maybe it doesn't matter, but there is accountability, and we are watching, and we are. It's creepy AF. I'm not going to lie. So that is really what I wanted to talk about today. There was one other thing that I felt like we needed to discuss. And, that is, interestingly, I wanted to talk about this. I don't know, probably about 6 or 7 weeks ago. And just sometimes like it's evergreen. It's sort of this thing that's really, really popular. And I'm like, I'll get to it. And I need to follow my instincts and just not do that anymore. Because in this case, the New York Times did a very large story. I put it in my newsletter, a very large story. It came out over the holidays. It was in print this past weekend in the New York Times. And it's about this program, this channel on YouTube called Alan's Universe. Alan's Universe has billions of subscribers. It has, let's see, let me see. Let's ask Gemini. By the way, guys, I have moved on from my boyfriend ChatGPT to my boyfriend Gemini. How many subscribers does Alan's Universe on YouTube have? Let's see. Oh, okay. Not billions. Sorry. It has billions of views. Like there is a difference. 98.8 million subscribers. So might as well say 100 million. 100 million subscribers. Total views over 58 billion with a B. They are getting between 1 and 2 billion views per month. And it's named after its creator, Alan Chicken Chow. It refers to the specific narrative world that he's created. It is Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Boy, that Penny sure is cute. I could just eat her up. Hey, boys and girls, let's make a snack.
It is totally Pee-wee's Playhouse, but for 2026, as opposed to our generation. But Pee-wee, I like to say Pee-wee walked so Alan could run. The demo, though, this is not adults. Like, at least like when we were watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, our parents were watching Pee-wee's Playhouse, right? Like it was something that people like different generations get this. This is 7 to 14-year-old girls. So you're talking 100 million 7 to 14-year-old girls. And most of this is short form content. Here you go. For an example, you might need a Xanax.
Don't eat the poisonous candy!
Okay, my turn? Okay.
This is literally what Quibi wanted to be. And if you guys don't remember Quibi, let me see. Let's see what Gemini says. Who is Quibi? It's so funny because I'm just curious how they phrase it. So Quibi was a tech company, a entertainment media company that was meant, it's short. So Quibi, Q-U-I-B-I, it was meant to be, it's a shortened Quick Bites. And it was a streaming service specifically built for your mobile devices. In fact, and it was founded by Jeffrey Katzenberg of, he's a big name in Hollywood, and Meg Whitman, who's a big name in tech. They are the olds. They're older than me. They're the olds. And they were like, we're going to tell the kids what they want. They also did this really sneaky thing and stole technology, patented technology from another company called Echo that allowed you to watch it. Like you could turn your phone from vertical to horizontal and it would change with you. So they weren't allowed to do that. So I think that's ultimately what shut it down. But they believed, and Jeffrey Katzenberg was correct, in that people are going to watch short form content, that we're not sitting, we don't have the bandwidth, the sort of capacity to sit there and watch these shows long term. Like we're watching something and then we go to our phone. So everything is in the background. Short form content, you watch it, you're addicted. That's why TikToks, that's why these shows that are coming out, whether on YouTube or other formats, they are short form, they're catchy, people watch them and then they go about their day. I will say, back to Heated Rivalry, it is the only show I can't even remember how long, that I've watched where I do not look at my phone. And even my favorite shows, I could say Shogun or Gilded Age or Landman, all these shows that I love, I still look at my phone. I still have to be like, wait, I just lost 5 minutes. I have to go back. Heated Rivalry, my phone could be in the other part of the house. I do not care. I am completely locked in. But most shows aren't like that. It's the short form content that is really dominating. And we're seeing a lot of this play out. And that's why YouTube is just like, my prediction is only going to be more like the biggest player ever. Like, we're talking all about Warner Brothers and Paramount. It's YouTube. The Oscars as of 2029 are going to be on YouTube. It's fascinating. So more of that, please. That is it. I hope you guys had a lovely week digging out, remembering what day it was. I'm sure those first few days were rough. You're like, is it 5 o'clock yet? And it's like only 1:30. That's at least how I was feeling. I was like, I need a nap. Why am I not napping? This is my nap time. But we made it through a week, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Talk to you guys soon. And thank you, Live Nation, as always, for making this podcast possible.